All right, so let's get to work writing unshift. So I'm going to go over to my snippet, and I'm just going to define unshift, which takes a value that we're adding in. And the first thing we need to do is make a new node. So I'll just do var new node equals new node and pass in that value. Okay, once we've done that, we now need to check our edge case, which is if there's no head property. So we'll just do if there's not a head. In that case, we set both the head and the tail to be that new node. So we'll do this dot head equals new node, this dot tail equals new node, or this dot head. Just like that, they're now both set to the new node if there was nothing in the list to start. After that, otherwise, we're going to set the newly created node's next property to be the current head property on the list. So if this is what our linked list looks like right now, hello is the head. If we added something to the beginning, let's just say it was a star for some reason, and this is still the head, all that we do is we take this new node and we point it at the head. So that's just a matter of saying new node dot next equals this dot head. So that gives us this connection, but this is still the head. So then we need to update the head. So we just say this dot head equals new node. And then that effectively moves our head over here. And that's all we have to do. So no matter how long our list is, again, I've been saying this a couple times, if it's 1,000,000 items long, it's just one little thing we have to do. Unlike an array, even though us as humans don't have to do anything behind the scenes, if we add something to the beginning of an array and it's 1,000,000 items long, the entire thing has to be re-indexed. Every single item gets a new index, and that's not good. So I think all we have left to do is to increment the length of the list and then return the list. So we'll do this dot length plus plus, return the whole list, return this. Let's test it out. So I'm going to get rid of that. We've created our list here. I will execute the code. So we have our list. It's 3 items long. Let's do an unshift of, I don't know, I'm just going to write first. Oh, looks like I have a typo in here. This dot head, if not this dot head. Hopefully you saw that before me. Let's rerun this code one more time. Okay, list has 3 items, dot unshift first. Looks like it's working. Well, actually we can't tell from this. It added something in. And indeed, the head is first, and it's pointing to hello, which is pointing to goodbye, which is pointing to exclamation point, which points to nothing. Now, there is one issue with our code that only becomes clear when we have an empty list. So I'm going to do pop a couple, I guess that's a dumb way to make an empty list, but that's one way to do it. Just pop everything out of there, or, you could just start from an empty list, but I didn't think of that. So we have our empty list now. If I unshift it, list.unshift, let's say add me. It looks like it works. The head and the tail are both set correctly, but the next property on the head and the next property on the tail are actually self-referential. We can keep clicking next and it's always pointing to add me. So this is wrong. Now, as soon as we unshift something else, list.unshift 100, and we look at list, now the head is 100 and it's pointing to add me, but add me is still pointing to add me over and over and over. And our tail is still set up like that. But if I push something at the very end and we look at it now, it should be fixed. If we look at our head, the next is add me and its next is end. Okay, so it's not the end of the world, but it's not good. We don't want that. And it's happening because of this logic right here. It's a very small change that we need to make. Right now we have our if statement to check if the list is empty, if there's no head. And then we have this other code that always runs. In reality, it should be, and it's actually in the pseudocode, it says if there's no head, do this, if it's empty. Otherwise, meaning else. And we don't have that else right now. Because what's happening there is without the else, we are setting the head and the tail to be the new node if it's an empty list. If we go back, let's just do L equals new singly linked list. L is empty right now. If I do L.unshift hello, it sets the head and tail to be hello. And then without this else here, it takes hello.next and sets it to the head, which is hello. So we're saying hello.next is hello. And then it sets the head to be hello, which is not what we want. It's already set to that. So we add the else in so that this code only runs when there's at least one thing in here in the list. This code only runs if it's empty. And then this code needs to run in either scenario. So let's try running it again. This is a very stupid way of doing this. Okay, list.unshift add me. If we look at list now, it still works, but there is no next set on add me. It's set up correctly. All right, a tiny change, but important. That is unshift. Next up, we're going to take a look at some other methods that have to do with retrieving values based off of a position or an index called get and set. And these are a little bit trickier.